Hi, my name is Chris McCarthy. I'm the CEO of the Provincetown Art Association and Museum, and we're taking a walk around PAAM and looking at the new exhibitions that we've recently installed. This exhibition, if you can't guess, is called Large Works from the Permanent Collection. I'm standing between two really fabulous paintings, George McNeil's beach scene from 1968 and Ed Joby's optimistic still life. This is actually a brand new gift to the collection from Berta Walker. The idea that we're able to bring big paintings into this collection was actually a big challenge for us prior to this building renovation. We didn't have storage that could house big paintings like this, and it really affected what was coming into the collection because the committees at the time had to say no to big works that came in. So that has all changed, and we're thrilled to be able to have this type of work. George McNeil studied with Hans Hofmann, and actually one of the techniques he used is he would put these giant canvases on the floor and he would paint around them on the floor, which is really kind of interesting. There's so much texture and you just want to touch this, even though we don't do that here. But it's just built up and looks like he just, like Hofmann, squeezed the tube of paint right onto the canvas. There's lovely area right here where there's just so much texture built up, and it's just calling for you to come and be in its presence. And Joby's still life is this kind of psychedelic vase of flowers, which has so much happening, but the detail is just absolutely exquisite. And again, this was one of a painting that I'd only seen it in a thumbnail. And when we unwrapped it and opened it and put it up on the wall, it just screams for a big space. And the idea that when you walk into this gallery, these are the two paintings that you first see when you walk in, but they really, really just pull you back in. Christmas Day of 2019, Nappy Van Derrick passed away, and for those of you who didn't know Nappy, and I can't imagine that you didn't, he held one of the most significant early Provincetown art collections known, and one of the ideas that we talked about prior to his passing was having part of the collection come to PAAM and be part of our permanent collection. This collection will truly fill in some major gaps in the PAAM collection. Nappy's eye was just incredible. He had an innate just feel for artwork, and he really did love to look at artwork that represented place. And you can find in this collection the same view painted by maybe 10 different artists. And that's what's really exciting about looking at what was there, what's there now, who took artistic license, and what Nappy used to refer to as the way it used to was. And that was one of his famous lines, which rings in my head quite a bit when I curate from this collection. So this part two features some very well-known artists like Bruce McCain and Ross Moffat and Ambrose Webster, but it also features several women artists that we're now going to be able to integrate into the collection, which I mentioned earlier fill in some major gaps, like Marjorie Ryerson here, who came to Provincetown to study with Charles Hawthorne. And many people associate Charles Hawthorne with the beginnings of the art colony, which was established in 1899 when he opened his Cape Cod School of Art. But what a lot of people don't know is that there were other artists here prior to Hawthorne. In fact, a female artist named Dewing Woodward opened a School of Art this summer in 1898 or 97 before Hawthorne, and actually had a School of Art for one summer, so it wasn't really coined as the beginning of the art colony, but there were definitely artists that were here before Hawthorne. But many female artists did come to study with Hawthorne. In fact, the majority of his students were women that came to study for a summer, or they would come for multiple summers, but Marjorie Ryerson was one of those artists that came. This will eventually be the first Marjorie Ryerson that we'll be able to access into our collection. One of the artists in the Nappy and Helen Van Derrick collection is an artist named Sam Brecker, another artist whom we do not have representation, so again, this fills an important gap. But Sam Brecker did this really beautiful painting called Railroad Ticket Office, where you would actually go buy your tickets, and it was essentially across from Nappy's restaurant is where the ticket office was, and the railroad did come through, and it was a very inexpensive and safe way to get to Provincetown. What Nappy's collection really does is it's a narrative, and we're looking at the history of Provincetown through pictures, whether they're completely accurate or not. I mean, we don't know that for sure. The artist clearly took license, but at the same time, this is a living legacy of works that represent time, past places, what happened when the beginnings of the art colony were coming together. And I think that's what this collection does best, is it tells a story. It tells stories about places, of how artists were looking at different aspects of a place and light and shadow. And one of the reasons we know that many artists came here was because of the amazing light, and that's depicted in many of the paintings that we see on view in this collection.